What differences, Mickey, do you see in Dundee United's performances for this season? What do you bring? You've mentioned about the importance of winning games and things like that. So what are you going to bring to the table that's going to make Dundee United different to where they were last season?
Well, it's like you've quite rightly said, different to last season. That's in there is where the answer is to that. We will face different challenges this season. The club will come up against clubs and teams that we will have to adjust and maybe adapt to, and be forced to play a different way and asked a different question. So I will be able to work with the players and create a group of players that hopefully will be able to adjust and adapt when their questions get asked and be able to answer their questions well. Because that's the experience I've always had to do that. In England, you're asked that probably every 3 days, 3-4 days, there's a different question that you'll get asked. That will happen next season in the Scottish Premier League. Whether that's because 1 week you're going to go and play in 4G, 1 week you might be going to go and play at Ibrox, and then next week you're playing Celtic, and then you're playing Aberdeen a Tuesday night, and then it might be windy and blah, blah, blah. So the players will be taught to go and take on their challenges, and go and face them head on and be able to adjust and adapt to that. So have an adjustable team that can play in various ways in order to, quite rightly what you said, people talk about philosophies, but anybody who doesn't end with winning has got it wrong, I believe, in my opinion. So we'll be trying to play winning football, but obviously facing all the challenges that we're going to have.
Last night I'd watched kind of feedback from last year's FA Cup, and there was a game that kind of inspired me where there was a lower league team that was 3-0 down at half time, and it was a youthful manager came on, and how do you think he would have inspired his team to move on at half time, obviously in that position?
Well, yeah, I mean that was a fantastic day for us against a Premier League team. So anybody outside the Premier League beating Premier League teams is obviously a fantastic moment for you, but to give them a 3-0 start and lull them into a false sense of security and then go and turn that around was obviously a fantastic day for us. But no, that day was just about getting players to get back on track again. We came off the plan and probably gave too much respect. Came off the plan that we had agreed on before the game. So during half time, in my very Scottish way, I was able to correct them back onto track again and get them playing the way that I believed would got us success in a game against a Premiership team at their own home ground. And we were able to do that. So we were delighted with that. And then we got the replay and we were able to put Watford out, which in England to put out a Premier League team or beat a Premier League team is a great feat. So we were really pleased with that. Yeah, so that was probably the story of that afternoon. No, we enjoyed that.
So on the back of that, do you see Dundee United as the newcomers to the Premier League having these challenges maybe more regularly this season?
I think every week will be a different challenge, and that's the exciting thing about it, isn't it? Every game will be different. There's never ever and never will be 2 games that will ever be the same. So you have to be able to go out there and very quickly as a manager be able to see what the asks of the game are. I keep speaking about the asks, but that's the way I look at it. Because sometimes human beings can play poorly. Sometimes they can do better than what you expected them to do, and that's even the teams that you're playing against. So you have to be able to go out and throw conditions into that, wind, rain and all the rest of it, and sendings off. And as a manager, you've got to be able to be on the side and see that and be able to adjust to that and be calm about that and draw on your experience and be able to cope with that. So I'm looking forward to that challenge, and this season will be no different for us, and hopefully I'm able to help the players in order to overcome their challenges.
As well as stepping up, obviously, from the Championship to the Premiership is there. You've mentioned about there being no fans there in the ground for the first few games. Is that something that you think will pose a difficulty for the players to adapt to, because it's something different they haven't done before?
Maybe. I think the 4 pre-season games that we've had, there's been no fans in, you know, and I remember a lot of them have played youth games as well. They've come through the ranks as a youth player, and especially for myself, that's all I've known for the last sort of 4.5 years. There's maybe been a handful of parents at the games that I've been involved with. I think the players are used to it. They obviously would rather play with a full house, but it's something that we need to adapt to, because it could be here for the foreseeable future anyway. So hopefully it won't be too long, but we certainly need to make sure we take that variable out of it and make sure we just concentrate on what we can do on the pitch.
In the week that you've been in place, has anyone's performances stood out above everybody else's for you in that week?
I'm not sure it stood out in front of anyone else's. We've got good players here. You know, I look at the lad Conley. Mark Conley used to be at Kilmarnock, and he looks as though he wants to be a leader and go and be dominant and pull people with him. There's a lot of exciting young players that I've said before: Chalmers, Glass, Mockery. I mean, kids who you hope that you can help build on all the work that's been done with these boys and make them to become Premiership players, because Dundee United has always been well skilled in bringing players through and from their own sort of ranks of being young players. So we're hoping to do that. But there's a lot of players here. Goalkeepers, I think we've got 2 excellent goalkeepers that will be vying to be number 1. So there's a lot of potential here for us to hopefully go and do well this season.
I was talking about Mickey Mellon, obviously, and what he brings to Dundee United. You have experience over the years with him. What do you think that he brings to the Dundee United setup that the fans would like to know about?
He'll bring a freshness. He's Scottish, and as I said earlier on, he's probably got a broader Glasgow accent than I've got, but he's well versed in the Scottish game. You know, he's had over, I'd be wrong maybe to guess, but I think over 400, 500 games as a manager. So he's got an experience there as well. He's worked with top players, and the one that obviously is well documented, helped discover, or probably does discover and help, Jamie Vardy. So he knows a player and he knows the game. First and foremost, he knows the game. So they're getting a manager who is, from what I've seen, even though I know him as a friend, but he's a player's manager, and he'll do everything along with the rest of the staff to make sure that we get the players right, whether you're playing or not, because it is a score game, especially more so now, and he certainly get that. But they'll see an enthusiasm and a guy who just wants to win.